Unboxing the Osma Pro. I'm going to set it up to do a single pass cold brew extraction. So pull it aside. First thing you'll see is our honeycomb cardboard panel, which is very protective, very rigid, but also fully recyclable. We have instructions and packing slip, which I'm fairly familiar with this, so we're not going to go into those right now. And then we have the 2 accessory boxes and the Osma Pro itself. This one is in, take off the protective wrap. And this is a hard anodized type 3 finish, so it's not really gonna scratch at all. We just wrap it that way to keep smudges off of it from the cardboard during shipping. So put this down, put down the Osma. First thing I'm gonna do is take out the plug that's in here. There we go. Now I'll open the accessory boxes and get this set up. So in this one, the power cord, the 2 types of straws. So this straw with the 90-degree elbow in it, this is the one you're going to be using most of the time, especially for doing coffee. This is for single pass, and I'm going to set that up in a second. This smaller straw without the elbow, it's a little bit shorter, is for recirculation, and you're going to mainly be using this with tea or herbals or pretty much anything that's not coffee that needs to be infused in a different way, and that actually recirculates the water over and over again through the pump. So I'm going to put both of these aside for now. And then the next 2 pieces, we have the tamp / distribution tool. And again, all of our packaging is at least recyclable. We try to make it compostable if possible. But yeah, here's the distribution tool. So this I'm going to actually adjust a little bit, and I'll get into this more as we go, but I'm basically screwing it down and then tightening the top again so that it has more of a tamping action and gets the level of the coffee and the portafilter down. And when I open the portafilter, I'll show you exactly how that works. So I'll put that right there. And in this one, we have our drip tray. And again, the same material as the rest of the Osma Pro, and it sits right there. Okay. This box. Alright, here. Power supply. Put that right here. And our portafilter. So this is a 58mm standard Marzocco or E61 portafilter. So if you have your own 58mm portafilter, it will be compatible with the Osma, and you're welcome to use it if it's bottomless, if it's spouted. The one that we include is a good starting point, and it's correctly sized for our typical brew recipe. So I'm going to be starting with this today. All right. So I'm going to start, plug in the power supply, plug this into our outlet. Put the intake straw right in here, and you can see the quick disconnect is right there. I'm gonna just put it in, push it until I hear a snap, and it's gonna still be able to wiggle around in there a little bit, and that's fine. That's by design so that you can fit it into the cup easily. But if you hear that snap, it means that it is fully seated. It's still gonna have some play, which again is by design. All right, now I'm going to put the portafilter in, and I'm going to run some fresh water through the system for the first time. So there, I put 1 full cup into the straw. The other cup goes under the portafilter on the drip tray, and I'm gonna press start. The button is right over here. Ah, that wasn't enough. So there's a green LED on the power supply. If you're having any issues like I just did with it not starting, just make sure the green light's illuminated. My cord wasn't in far enough. Here we go. Awesome. All right. Looks like it is running really smoothly. So now I'm gonna do a single pass extraction, get about 8 ounces of cold brew, and I'll set that up right now, and that'll be our first actual extraction on this Osma Pro. All right, so I'm going to take out the portafilter. Turn on my scale. And using a scale is handy because we recommend using between 28 and 30 grams of coffee. It's not totally necessary, you can eyeball it. But I'm going to use some Chromatic Gamut. Shout out to our friends at Chromatic, who are our official coffee partners and help us tremendously in developing the Osma Pro. So I'm going to put some into this. And in terms of the grinder, I mean, this is a pretty entry-level Baratza burr grinder. Definitely adequate, but you know, the more consistent your grind, the better results you'll see. The Osma definitely reveals differences the more consistent you can get with your grind. So whether that's with like a niche or a Weber Workshop or a Mazzer, or just using like a sifting system, definitely worth experimenting with as you use your Osma. All right, it's gonna get loud for a second. And before I fill the portafilter, so the grind setting I have here on the Encore, it's a little bit more coarse than I would use for a traditional espresso. So on the Encore, it's at like 8. Yeah, think somewhere for this kind of brew, think somewhere between like what you do for espresso and what you do for AeroPress, but more on the espresso side. So technically, you want to target about 350 microns. So that could be like plus or minus 100 in either direction. Again, the more consistent you can get, the better you can dial in your results. But yeah, you want to aim for like slightly coarser than espresso just to start out with, and then you can dial in from that baseline. So now I'm going to put about 28 grams of this Gamut into my portafilter. All right. And now with this distribution tool that came with my Osma, I already set it, but again, the way that you do it, you can unscrew this top, and then that allows you to adjust the depth that these, I don't know what you'd call them, blades or cams or something. This is what actually smooths down the surface of the puck that you're preparing the portafilter. So I usually like to get it to about here, but again, this is something that you can dial in for yourself. It will, the way that it comes, it will be a little bit too shallow, so you will want to adjust that before you do your first. Then I'm just going to put it on top, start to rotate it. It'll sort of hover above the rim of the basket, and then as it distributes / tamps down, you'll start to hear more of that metal on metal, and it gives you a very nice even surface on the puck of the portafilter. Cool. So now I'm going to put the portafilter into the Osma, and it's exactly the same as an E61 or Marzocco group head design. So the two lugs on the portafilter are going to intersect with the cutouts on this single monolithic group head that we have. And they're just going to go in like that. You tighten it. You don't have to tighten it super, super tight. You basically want it to be a little bit to the right of straight on the portafilter handle. And you don't have to force it. If you need to force it, you may have used like a little bit too much coffee or not tamped enough. So now I'm going to prepare. I'm going to put some ice in my receptor cup. That's good. This one, empty, but with ice, I'm going to put under the portafilter. And then this, I'm going to fill with just tap water. You don't need to chill this water. It should be at about room temperature. It can be colder, it can be a little bit warmer, but you do want to be at like room temperature. So, and that's what's actually going to be pushed through the portafilter. The pump is going to operate at a specific frequency, which is going to create a microcavitation effect around the coffee, create the microbubble texture, and actually that is our mechanism of extraction, the formation and collapse and oscillation of these microbubbles. So I'm going to be a little bit fancy. I'm going to do, I like to put a scale under the reservoir cup, let's call it, and just measure how much exactly liquid is going in here so I can calculate extraction yield, but totally not necessary. You can just have it running from the side on your countertop. So with all that set up, I'm just going to press the start button, or the power button, which is right on the side here, and we're going to see it go. That is looking really good. So something else you can do, because this is a diaphragm pump, we designed it to be able to run dry, and at the end of an extraction like that, you can actually take the intake straw out of the water and press the button again and just clear the lines of any liquid. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. All right, let's try this. Yeah, but before I try it, you can see this cloud of microbubbles right below the actual crema that formed. You definitely want your extraction to look something like this. And this will, sort of like a Guinness, these microbubbles will become part of this crema if you let it sit for a little while. You can see the beginnings of just the normal black coffee on the bottom. But you really do want the entire glass to be full of this sort of microbubble texture that indicates that extraction occurred correctly. Oh, it's actually really good. Yeah, this is a demo video of that. This is a really good extraction. Okay. Yeah, this was really good. I haven't measured it, but if you do exactly that and you're using good coffee, you should get a really good result. But okay, I'm gonna have more of this later. Let's go through cleaning real quick. So to clean, after you're done with an extraction, you just take the portafilter out. And, you know, it's a little controversial, like, does looking at the puck really tell you anything about how good the extraction was? Let me go get the compost bit real quick. I still think it's interesting to look. I mean, the puck should be fairly formed. Yeah. It should come out in a chunk. It should be pretty evenly extracted. It might be a little spongier than you're used to with a typical espresso, but it should definitely be a puck when it comes out. And then I'm just going to rinse the portafilter. wipe off the shower screen, which you can see under here. It's just a typical, again, E61 Marzocco compatible shower screen. Just want to make sure that any grinds that got on that are taken off. And now I'm just going to put the empty portafilter back in here. Get some more fresh water from the tap. Get another empty cup and just run some water through for a few seconds. All right.
Drip tray.
And then we take the drip tray. And the whole drip tray just comes off. You can rinse it quickly. And then while it's drying, I like to leave it sort of askew so that the drip tray receptacle can fully dry out and the drip tray itself can fully dry out. And then just take the portafilter out again. And there you go. That is how you use the Osma Pro.